All right, and we are back. Hello there, everyone. This is me, Ethan, here, and welcome back to the Ethan's Motion Picture Show. Consistency. I didn't go on a 3-week hiatus after my Batman review. It's great, right? I'm consistent. That's good. Applaud me. Applaud me. Thank you. For all the listeners on Spotify, you should now see a video format, or you can just listen to the audio, but you should see a video format. You should see the text is now on the bottom of the screen with white text. Changing it up a little bit. I think it looks a little bit better right here. The black text didn't entirely work up here at the top. Also, other way, I added the cover art on the side. I think that spices it up a little bit. Tell me if you like this format a little bit better. I certainly do. I think it spices it up just a little bit. But last week, as I said, I went on a 3-week hiatus and didn't upload many episodes, but now we're on episode 4. We're getting through it. We're almost 5 episodes in. Very, very fun. And I've got a lot of catching up to do. There was a lot that I missed. So today is a catch-up day, and I'll also be covering some stuff that's pretty recent from the past week or so. There's been a lot of stuff that's happened if you've been keeping up with it, even if you're not in the film industry. So without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and just jump right into it. So back about a month ago, the newest Pixar film Turning Red released. And as you all know, I am a very big Pixar fan. I've grown up with this studio since I was like 4 or 5. I've loved all their classic movies. I think they poured out some of the highest quality animated movies of our time. Obviously, they created the first CG animated movie, Toy Story, which isn't an achievement in and of itself, but the fact that they've kept on producing great content throughout the years, aside from obviously a couple hiccups and bumps in the road and having just sequels nonstop, they've still poured out some very, very high quality animation at that, and some great storytelling that all ages can relate to. But Turning Red did not do it for me. When I saw the trailers about a year ago back, or maybe half a year ago, didn't really think much of it. Thought, okay, it looks alright. It didn't interest me as much as Soul or Luca, but I was going to check it out. I mean, I'm a big Pixar fan. I'm going to check out any Pixar project. But once I watched it, I realized it really doesn't do it for me at all, and I actually really dislike it. Now, before I get into that, that does not mean this movie is bad. Art is subjective. Film is an art form. It is not overall bad. I just didn't get a whole lot of enjoyment like a lot of other people did. What I specifically did not like about this film was how specific the story is. It's about a teenage girl going through puberty. Now, a good percent of people in the world, women, can relate to that. Now, obviously, I couldn't, and that is completely okay. Just as much as you can like a movie because you can relate, you can also dislike a movie because you can relate, and vice versa. I could relate to May in this film, but I still did not enjoy it. I didn't find it funny, and I didn't find it all that entertaining. I can still relate to a movie without it being centric to a male character, and I also don't have to like a movie to relate to it. I also can like a movie and relate to it. It really doesn't matter. It can still be an awful movie and you can relate to it, and that's great. That's awesome. I liked relating to some of the stuff May was going through, where you want to go to this one place and that's all that's on your mind at that age, and that's all that matters in life. I related to that. Anybody can relate to that. There is some universal stuff in here, but the stuff specifically about puberty, I didn't like. It's great that people can relate to this. It's fantastic. Whether it's younger girls, grown-up women, moms, and daughters can both really enjoy this movie. That's awesome. But Pixar has always been accessible to a wide demographic: adults, teens, kids. Most of the time, the movies don't feel super kiddie. Obviously, they're targeted towards kids, but Finding Nemo is like a pretty dark story about a father chasing after his son who was stolen. I mean, that's kind of like Taken, but anyways, it's a very dark story, and Pixar can cover some mature stuff, but whenever something like puberty, which is something specific to an age range, and even gender, but that aside, even if it's specific to something like puberty, I don't think parents will want their kids to learn about it until a certain age. At least that's the way it's always been. And it's not until like preteens or 13, but like ages 5 to 10, I don't think should be watching this movie because a lot of parents don't want their kids to learn about that quite yet. They still want a little bit of their innocence, right? So a family could just put on the new Pixar movie at a whim because, oh yeah, they made Toy Story, they made Finding Nemo, Monsters Inc., A Bug's Life, all these classic, great family movies that all ages can enjoy, and then they might end up showing a young child a film about puberty. I'm not saying this film is bad, and I'm not saying it's bad for covering it. It's great to see more representation for that. But whenever it's coming from this brand that is so well known for family content with heavy themes, but topics that everybody can relate to, and topics that any age can watch and not be confused, frightened, or anything like that, I think that's incredibly important. And it kind of messes with their brand a little bit. Yet again, I'm not against this. I just think it ruins what was a decent animation company, and it changes the face of the company, I think. Or it changes the look of what this animation company is going for now. And obviously, any kid can watch it. I know parents are all different, but I personally do not think this is entirely just a kid's film. It's definitely a preteen and teen film. But even with it being a more mature topic, 2 jokes used in the film really made me disappointed with the company. And there are some jokes in some Pixar movies that fall flat, and that's alright. But in the final act of this movie, May, the main character, a 13-year-old girl, a minor, twerks in rebellion to her mom. Disney has always been known for having parents be the bad guys or overall not the best characters in their movies. But Pixar has addressed parents much better in their films. Here, the mom is overbearing to a degree that is so unrealistic and stressful to watch that I didn't find it all that funny at all. I just found it to be unamusing and just sickening to watch. I know that may seem like an over-exaggeration, but I didn't find it all that funny. I found it weird and gross and just odd. This company already even did a story about an overbearing parent to perfection with a film that I just talked about, Finding Nemo. Both parents in these films learn by the end that they have to let their kids grow and that change is okay. But here the message is sometimes you need to honor yourselves more than your parents. And if your parents don't honor you, they're the villain. Like it turns into a kaiju battle at the end of the film. And it's weird. It just puts parental figures in the worst light imaginable in a kid's film or preteen, teen film, whatever you want to call it. And then the joke I mentioned earlier just makes the whole situation worse, where a minor twerks in rebellion to her mother. It's just gross. End of the day, twerking should not be in a kid's animated film, and nobody can convince me otherwise that it is not super inappropriate, especially coming from a brand that's so well known, like I've said a billion times, for family content. But the other joke, I couldn't even see anybody laughing at. At the very end of the movie, May tells her mom, "My panda, my choice," which is obviously a spin on the abortion stance, "My body, my choice." It doesn't even matter your opinion or your stance on abortion. Using it as a joke is not funny, especially in a film coming from Pixar that's marketed towards preteens and teens, but it's really marketed towards kids more than that. Outside of that, I gotta move on. Outside of that, it's not the worst film ever. It's not even my least favorite Pixar film. It's just the attachment I have to Pixar that impacts my viewpoint on it. And what I've known Pixar for almost all my life is like completely diminished in this film. And it doesn't represent the film company that I love so much. It's not necessarily that I hate the movie. It's just I hate the decisions they made because it doesn't represent the company as a whole. And I'm just kind of disappointed from it. But I will say, for some positive notes, the pastel color palette for Toronto, Canada, really fantastic. Love the look of that. The 2000s throwbacks are very fun, and the theme of having to live up to parental expectations is done better here than in Encanto, in my opinion. Just because in Encanto, they don't really do as much with the grandma as they do with the mom, but the mom is worse here. It kind of evens out a little bit for me. But those 2000 throwbacks, like I said before, really fun. And I can see a lot of grown-up college kids or even adults now who grew up with that stuff really, really enjoying all those references, and I appreciate that. But end of the day, it wasn't made for me, and I didn't enjoy it regardless. Some parts rub me the wrong way, but there's some stuff there to appreciate, so I would give it a 5 out of 10. There's some stuff there to enjoy. There's some good stuff to appreciate, but those few moments just rubbed me the wrong way at the wrong time, and it brought me back to a time that was uncomfortable, even if I could relate in some ways to what the characters are going through. Now, for some more recent news, and then we'll get back to catching up a little bit. From the Oscars, the slap heard around the world. I'm sure everyone and their mother has heard about Will Smith slapping Chris Rock over a joke about his wife being bald and having a illness called alopecia, where she is bald and has to shave her hair. The situation overall sucks because, one, all the attention to the actual awards to these hardworking people in the film industry have been left in the dust. Nobody's hearing about them. And second, what Will did clearly doesn't reflect who he actually is. And he's lost a ton of respect from people, which really sucks because he used to be a really respected actor, and one slap really messed it up. I think what Will did was uncalled for, was unnecessary, and it essentially encourages that if you don't like what people say, it is justified to go up and slap them. Violence is justified if you don't like what they are saying. Not all my viewers live in America, but in America, you can say the most controversial stuff you want, and that's fine. You may get canceled over or whatever, but you're free to say whatever you want. And sometimes the joke can be insensitive, and by the way, Chris Rock's joke was not the most insensitive joke ever said at the Oscars. In fact, it was a kind of funny joke. It wasn't an awful joke. Obviously, Jada Pinkett Smith isn't going to find it all that funny because she's the one with the illness. But coming from comedians at the Oscars, there's been way worse said, and that's not the worst joke ever to go up and slap somebody over. So I don't think what he did was reasonable. He has resigned from the Academy, which I think it's a justified solution, but I think like being expelled from the Academy from 2 to 4 years maybe would justify it, because he can still have some great, fantastic performances. He's a really good actor, but all because of one slap he's done. Like, at least they didn't make him hand over the Oscar, because the Oscars aren't given to people based on, oh, you're a good person. There have been some awful people that have won Oscars. It's all based around the performance or what you did in a film that wins you the award, so he shouldn't give up the Oscar. He definitely should not. It's just overall a very, very weird scenario overall. And I hate that this is the only thing from the Oscars that has gotten publicity. So moving on, let's give Dune some publicity from the Oscars, because it absolutely sweeped last weekend. It won 6 out of the 10 Oscars it was nominated for, which includes cinematography, editing, score, visual effects, production design, and sound. All so well deserved. I absolutely love Dune. In fact, for all the people watching with the video, here is my Paul Atreides Dune Funko Pop I got for Christmas. I even have a poster across right there. I own the book. I haven't gotten to finishing it yet. But anyways, point being, I absolutely love Dune. I thought it was so immersive, and all the technological aspects behind it helped that immensely. So I'm very happy to see it win the awards it deserves. I just wish it got some publicity over 2 dumb actors getting in a brawl. It's just disappointing, but anyways, I'm so happy to see a movie that I very much enjoyed, and it's maybe my favorite movie of last year, if we're counting aside Spider-Man No Way Home. It's just such a good sci-fi movie. I'm so happy it got so many awards. A little bit disappointed Denis Villeneuve got snubbed Best Director, but at least it got 6 Oscar awards out of its 10 nominations. That's an accomplishment. So now, for 3 recent films I've been keeping up with, being Morbius, The Lost City, and Sonic the Hedgehog 2. We've gotten quite a few first reactions, so we're going to take a look at those. Starting with The Lost City on Rotten Tomatoes, it currently has the best percentage of the three, surprisingly, with a 75% critic score and 84% audience score. The critics' consensus states, The Lost City doesn't sparkle quite as brightly as some classic treasure hunting capers, but its stars' screwball chemistry make this movie well worth romancing. I'm now actually somewhat interested in seeing this film, more than before. It looks like a fun time, and all the leads seem likable in their roles, and I may just check it out eventually. Don't know if I'm going to pay a full price ticket for it, because it doesn't seem like a full price ticket movie, but it may be worth checking out. It looked like a fun time. Daniel Radcliffe as a villain, like, I haven't seen him since Harry Potter, so that'd be cool to see, and overall, it just seems like a really fun time that may be worth checking out. Maybe waiting for the tickets to lower, like I said, but overall, looks pretty good. For Morbius, the most recent film that released this weekend, oh boy, it has a 17% Rotten Critics rating and 70% fresh audience rating. I am shocked by that. If you guys have read the leaks, I'm not going to say anything. There is connections to Spider-Man No Way Home that will frustrate people. And I've read through it. I'm surprised there's a 70% fresh audience rating. That's got to be some trolling there, but 17% Rotten Critics rating, and the consensus from the critics for Morbius states, cursed with uninspired efforts, rote performances, and a borderline nonsensical story, this dreary mess is a vain attempt to make Morbius happen. And I'm going to read from some of the first reaction critics' tweets, and yeah, it only gets worse. So let me pull this up real quick. A drink of water too. Alright. So the first one here is, well, Morbius is about as bad as you were expecting. A 2005 plot collides with visually confusing CGI to create a bit of a snooze fest. But don't worry, they've saved the worst for last, featuring some of the worst post-credit scenes you've ever seen. Sony are off their rocker. From Escape Film Club, Morbius proves that no matter how many famous faces or shiny visuals you squeeze in, Sony will always find a way to impressively misunderstand basic storytelling. Finally, Nicole Austin says, well, Morbius is unfortunately not great. Some really shoddy VFX and 2000s formulaic plot, and definitely not as fun as Venom. Really confused at the future of the Sony Spider-Verse following the post-credit scenes and the editing. Matt Smith is clearly having a blast, though. That's not great to hear. And I almost just want to see this film just for how bad of ratings it's getting. I just really want to see how bad it truly is. I still haven't seen the Venom movies, just because I know they're not supposed to be like the greatest Marvel movies of all time. That's not what I'm expecting from them, but people are even saying Venom is better. Like, man, take that with what you will. Form your own opinion. You may love Morbius. That's all right. I don't think it's going to be that great. I never expected it to be good. It's pretty funny that they set it for an April 1st release date whenever it was originally supposed to release January 1st. The biggest April Fool's Marvel joke of all time. So yeah, I may just wait for it to get on digital, or if I find a dollar movie theater around here somewhere where they show 3-month late movies or whatever, I'll check it out there. But I don't think I'm going to see it in theaters unless it's on discount and they're just begging people to go see it. On to Sonic 2. I'm very excited for this movie. I'm surprised at how truly mixed reactions there are. It currently has a 62% fresh critics rating, and obviously it hasn't been released in the US, so there's no audience rating. Once again, the critics' consensus. It isn't as much fun as the Little Blue Guy's greatest games, but if you enjoyed the first film, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 serves as a generally acceptable sequel. I wasn't expecting a masterpiece out of this film, but critics seem to really enjoy the first one. It has a 63% rating, so maybe when more reviews kick in, it'll increase. I'm hoping this one is better than the first one, because I really liked the first one. It was one of the better video game movies. I take that back a little bit. It used existing concepts, like from Hop and stuff, and puts a video game character into it, so maybe it wasn't the best adaptation ever. But the sequel looked a lot closer to the games, so I was expecting a slightly better rating just because it's more adapted to a video game. Alright, we're doing pretty well on time here, sorry for that. awkward pause. I was really hoping for a little bit better. Maybe we'll wait another week, wait for the official release, see how the audience rating does, see how the critics' ratings fluctuate, and see how it does. I'm betting it'll get to a 70%. Maybe. But most of the reviews are saying it's a really fun time. Not outstanding, about just as good as the first one at times. Some are saying it's better than the first one. It's just very mixed, but nonetheless, I am so excited to go see this movie next weekend. Continuing our conversation regarding Sonic the Hedgehog, there's some big news coming from Jim Carrey regarding his acting career. He is considering retiring. This comes from Variety, where he stated, "Well, I'm retiring. Yeah, probably. I'm being fairly serious," Carrey said. "It depends. If the angel brings some sort of script that's written in gold ink that says to me that it's going to be really important for people to see, I might continue down the road, but I'm taking a break." He also mentioned, "I really like my quiet life, and I really like putting paint on the canvas, and I really love my spiritual life, and I feel like," and this is something you might never hear another celebrity say as long as time exists, "I have enough. I've done enough. I am enough." That sounds pretty serious to me. And you truly, really, like you said, you don't hear celebrities, specifically actors, of course, saying they've done enough, and they are enough. And yeah, I think Carrey's had a fantastic career, and if he ends it right here with Sonic 2, I think it'd be a really, really solid career, and he's put on some great performances that people absolutely love. He's one of the most popular actors and most loved actors of the modern age, and what more can he do that will possibly top all of his past work? I'm not saying he can't do better, but if he quits right now, I think he's done all he's needed to. He's done great. He's been in some really solid movies like The Truman Show and Eternal something is spotless mind. I'm not going to try and say. But anyways, he's been in some great comedic roles, some great serious roles. Like, he's done well, and I can respect him for that. A very rich, popular actor believes he's happy with his career. It's just something you don't see often, and I respect him for that. I don't agree with everything he said, but I definitely agree with that. I'm very excited to see him continue as Robotnik in Sonic the Hedgehog 2 next week, and I just wish the best for him, and I'll enjoy every minute of what may be his final movie, if this is his final movie. Now, on to the MCU. We haven't had much content for 3 months since Spider-Man No Way Home. Well, last Wednesday, we got the premiere episode of Moon Knight, and wow, it was really good. It had such a different vibe, and I don't know, I just really dug it. I won't get into spoilers, but I'll just say the opening scene regarding shoes gave me chills, and I don't know how else to explain it. It just gave me chills, and it automatically set the tone for this show. It's going to be dark. It's going to be weird. It's going to be an awesome time for the MCU because it's just so different. I'm so excited for it. And coming from a fellow Ethan Hawke was pretty cool. Can't wait to see where he goes with the show. Didn't do much in the first episode, but the standout role is obviously Oscar Isaac. I already love him as Moon Knight, and especially Stephen Grant. His performance is so good, and I felt so bad and just heartbroken for the guy with just 2 words. Steak time. That's all I needed. And once you watch the episode, you'll completely understand. I think he's just fantastic. And that ending scene with Moon Knight, chef's kiss. So good. He's such an innocent guy, being Stephen Grant, and seeing him go through dissociative identity disorder is like really insane. The editing on the scenes is just perfect, and it keeps everything so tense, and I was just in it the entire time. People commented that the CGI was a bit choppy and a little bit messy, but I honestly didn't notice it. I definitely want to give it a rewatch, though, before episode 2 this upcoming Wednesday. End of story, this show feels very unique and very weird, and I really like it. Let's just hope it doesn't turn into a train wreck in the last couple of episodes. I'm giving it a 7 out of 10 so far, because I'm not entirely on board with it yet. I love the vibe, I just don't know where it's going yet, so 7 out of 10 for now. We'll see where it goes. Now that we've covered our Marvel stuff for this week, let's move on to DC. This is a little bit of, sorry about that. This is a little bit of some late news, about 1 or 2 weeks late. A bunch of films got moved around, their release dates. So let's get into it. Sorry, I just had to clear my throat real quick. Talking just for 30 minutes just exhausts me. Alright. So, Aquaman 2 and The Flash are being moved to 2023 due to delays and visual effects. Aquaman 2 will now release March 17th of next year rather than December 16th of this year. And The Flash has moved from November 4th of this year to June 23rd of next year. Black Adam is being pushed 3 months to October 21st of this year, previously scheduled to release this summer on July 29th, which is now DC League of Super Pets release date. And I believe it was supposed to release, I think, this month or in May, I can't remember. And then finally, Shazam 2 has been pushed forward from June 2nd of next year to December 12th of this year, so that one's been moved up. I'm really excited to see Shazam 2 earlier than anticipated because I actually really enjoyed the first. It's probably my favorite DCEU film. Haven't seen a lot of them and can't remember some of them, but that one's probably my favorite. Had a blast with that one. So I'm pretty excited for a sequel. I think it could be really fun. But it's just a shame that Aquaman 2 and The Flash are both being moved. I really enjoyed the first Aquaman as well. Not crazy excited about The Flash other than seeing Michael Keaton. But I think Aquaman 2 could be a really fun time. I understand WB has their reasoning this time around, but my biggest issue is that right before the Batman played a month ago, WB had a special video promoting, hey, look at all this new stuff we're releasing this year, just like Marvel. We've got stuff too. Check this out. We've got Aquaman 2, Black Adam, DC League of Super Pets, The Batman, and The Flash. 5 movies in 1 year. Look at us. We're DC. We've got 5 big movies releasing this year. Isn't that crazy? But then just after release weekend, it was announced all of the dates were being moved. It could have been planned so much better. You promote a ton of your new DC superhero films to get people excited right before a new Batman movie. Just to have half of that announcement be false the weekend after. That's terribly planned. You could have canceled that entire thing before the movie, and I wouldn't have been against it. And then you could have set a release day of the Batman. It's just frustrating that they promote something just for it to end up being turned around in just a couple days. It's just frustrating. I'm excited for Black Adam, which is still releasing this year, and I'm still excited for Aquaman 2. Those are probably the ones that I am most excited for. So yeah, and our final piece of late news, just a little bit, tad at the end from Star Wars, is that trailer for Obi-Wan Kenobi. I know it released a couple weeks back, so I'm still late to it, but I am so excited for this show. Kenobi has always been my favorite Star Wars character. I love his character in all the movies and the TV shows, so to get a TV show for him is just a dream come true. A solo TV show just for him. Oh. And as soon as I saw young Luke Skywalker and heard Duel of the Fates start playing, I knew this was going to be good. I already had high expectations, having Ewan and Hayden return as Kenobi and Vader respectively. I already knew it was going to be great, but now I am so much more excited for it, and I absolutely cannot wait for the end of May. May is going to be such a good month. We have Doctor Strange 2 at the beginning, Stranger Things Season 4, and Obi-Wan Kenobi. I think there's something else in May releasing, but I can't exactly remember. But anyways, May is going to be a really good month for movies and TV shows. So excited for it. And that about does it. Pretty long episode, got to 30 minutes, just like the Batman, trying to keep it around 30 minutes so it's easier and more accessible for y'all to watch during the week and even during the weekend. So just a recap, review Turning Red, Will Smith slaps Chris Rock, Dune sweeps at the Oscars, a quick look at Morbius, The Lost City, and Sonic's early reviews. Jim Carrey is apparently serious about retiring. I gave my review on Moon Knight. I gave my thoughts on DC's releases shuffling around, and I gave my quick thoughts on Kenobi. That's 8 pieces of new content for you all. I hope you all enjoyed this episode. Thank you all for sticking around. Stay tuned for episode number 5. I just realized that I